Ladies and gentlemen, friends and seekers of truth, thank you for gathering here today to explore a topic that resonates deeply with the human experience. A topic that speaks to the courage, clarity, and quiet strength it takes to navigate the complex web of relationships in our lives. The title of my speech, A Wise Woman Silently Cuts Off 5 Types of People, may sound bold, perhaps even provocative, but it is rooted in a profound truth. Wisdom is not just about what we invite into our lives, but also about what we choose to release. This is not about cruelty or callousness. It is about discernment, self-respect, and the sacred act of protecting our peace. Today, I invite you to journey with me as we unpack the 5 types of people a wise woman learns to silently let go of. Not with fanfare or confrontation, but with grace, intention, and a deep commitment to her own growth. Let us begin by grounding ourselves in the idea of wisdom. Wisdom is not a loud proclamation. It is a quiet knowing. It is the soft whisper in your heart that guides you when the world grows noisy. For a woman, wisdom often comes through lived experience, through the triumphs and the tears, the moments of connection and the stings of betrayal. It is forged in the fires of vulnerability, where we learn who lifts us up and who weighs us down. A wise woman understands that her energy is finite, her heart is precious, and her time is sacred. She learns, sometimes painfully, that not everyone who enters her life is meant to stay. And so, she practices the art of silent release. Not out of malice, but out of love for herself and her purpose. The first type of person a wise woman silently cuts off is the energy vampire. These are the individuals who drain you, who leave you feeling depleted after every interaction. They may not mean harm. Sometimes they are simply caught in their own cycles of neediness or negativity, but their presence feels like a slow leak in your spirit. You know them by the heaviness in your chest when their name appears on your phone, or the exhaustion that settles in after a conversation that feels one-sided. A wise woman recognizes that her energy is her life force, and she cannot afford to let it be siphoned away. She doesn't announce her departure. She simply steps back, creates distance, and redirects her light toward those who nurture rather than diminish her. Let's pause here to acknowledge how hard this can be. We are conditioned to give, to nurture, to hold space for others, even at our own expense. Society often tells women that our worth lies in our ability to be endlessly accommodating. But a wise woman knows that self-preservation is not selfish, it is essential. She understands that saying no to an energy vampire is saying yes to herself. This act of silent release is not about judgment. It is about boundaries. It is about recognizing that you cannot pour from an empty cup and that your vitality is worth protecting. Now, let us turn to the second type of person, the critic who never celebrates. These are the people who always have something to point out, a flaw, a misstep, a way you could have done better. Their words, whether subtle or overt, chip away at your confidence, leaving you questioning your worth. They may disguise their criticism as honesty or helpful feedback, but there's a key difference. Their critiques are rarely balanced with affirmation. They don't see your victories, they only see your shortcomings. A wise woman knows that she is not perfect, but she also knows that she is worthy of love and respect just as she is. She silently distances herself from those who cannot see her light, choosing instead to surround herself with people who challenge her to grow while also celebrating her progress. This brings us to a deeper truth about relationships. Not everyone is meant to witness your evolution. Some people are comfortable with you only when you stay small, when you fit into the box they've created for you. The critic who never celebrates often feels threatened by your growth because it challenges their own stagnation. A wise woman doesn't try to prove her worth to them. She simply moves on. She knows that her journey is too precious to be slowed by those who cannot cheer her on. This silent release is an act of faith. faith in herself, faith in her path, and faith that there are others who will walk beside her with love and encouragement. The third type of person a wise woman silently cuts off is the betrayer of trust. Trust is the foundation of any meaningful relationship, and when it is broken, whether through gossip, deceit, or disloyalty, it leaves a wound that lingers. A betrayer of trust is someone who takes your vulnerability and uses it against you, who shares your secrets or undermines you when you're not looking. A wise woman doesn't need to confront this person with anger or drama. She simply withdraws her trust. She knows that trust, once broken, is not easily rebuilt, and she values her heart too much to leave it in careless hands. Let's reflect on why this is so significant. As women, we are often taught to forgive endlessly, to give second chances even when they're not deserved. And while forgiveness is a beautiful act, it does not mean you must keep someone in your inner circle. A wise woman forgives, not for the betrayer, but for her own peace. She releases the resentment, but she also releases the relationship. This is not about holding a grudge. It is about honoring the sacredness of her vulnerability. She knows that trust is a gift, and she chooses to give it to those who will cherish it. The fourth type of person is the manipulator. This is someone who uses guilt, flattery, or subtle coercion to bend you to their will. They may make you feel obligated to meet their needs, even when it comes at the cost of your own well-being. Their words are often cloaked in kindness, but their actions reveal a pattern of control. A wise woman has a keen eye for manipulation because she has learned to listen to her intuition. That quiet voice within her, the one that says, "This doesn't feel right," is her guide. She doesn't need to call out the manipulator. She simply steps out of their orbit, reclaiming her autonomy and her peace. Manipulation is insidious because it often masquerades as love or friendship. A manipulator may shower you with compliments one moment and guilt trip you the next, leaving you confused and off balance. But a wise woman knows her worth is not tied to someone else's approval. She knows that true connection is built on mutual respect, not control. By silently cutting off the manipulator, she is not rejecting love. She is rejecting a counterfeit version of it. This act of discernment is a powerful declaration of her sovereignty, a reminder that she is the author of her own story. Finally, the fifth type of person a wise woman silently cuts off is the one who refuses to grow. This is perhaps the most poignant because it often involves people we deeply care about, friends, family members, or partners who are stuck in patterns that no longer align with our own evolution. They may be tethered to resentment, fear, or old wounds, and the refusal to grow keeps them, and potentially you, stagnant. A wise woman knows that growth is her birthright, and she cannot afford to tether herself to those who resist it. She releases them with love, not anger, trusting that their path is their own. This is where the heart aches most, isn't it? Letting go of someone you love because their journey no longer aligns with yours is one of the hardest things a wise woman will ever do. But she does it because she knows that staying in a relationship that stifles her growth is a betrayal of her soul. She does it because she believes in the possibility of transformation for herself and for them, even if it happens apart. This silent release is an act of courage, a testament to her commitment to living authentically and fully. As we weave these threads together, let's consider what it means to silently cut off. This is not about ghosting or cruelty. It is about a gentle, intentional withdrawal. It is about setting boundaries that protect your peace without causing unnecessary harm. A wise woman doesn't need to announce her departure with a grand speech or a confrontation. She simply shifts her energy, redirects her focus, and allows the relationship to fade now. This is the elegance of her wisdom. She knows that her actions speak louder than her words. Why does this matter? Because a wise woman understands that her relationships shape her reality. The people she surrounds herself with influence her thoughts, her emotions, and her sense of possibility. By letting go of those who drain, criticize, betray, manipulate, or stagnate. She creates space for those who inspire, uplift, and challenge her to be her best self. This is not about building walls, it is about curating a garden, a space where love, trust, and growth can flourish. Let's also acknowledge the courage this requires. Cutting off toxic relationships, even silently, is not easy. It requires facing the fear of loneliness, the guilt of disappointing others, and the discomfort of change. But a wise woman knows that courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to act in spite of it. She knows that the temporary discomfort of letting go pales in comparison to the freedom of living authentically. She trusts that by releasing what no longer serves her, she is making room for what will. This brings us to a universal truth. The people we choose to keep close are a reflection of how we value ourselves. When a wise woman silently cuts off these 5 types of people, she is not just protecting her peace. She is affirming her worth. She is saying, I am deserving of relationships that honor my light, my growth, and my truth. This is a radical act in a world that often tells women to shrink, to settle, to prioritize others over themselves. It is a declaration of self-love, and it is breathtaking in its quiet power. As we near the end of this exploration, I want to invite you to reflect on your own life. Who are the energy vampires, the critics, the betrayers, the manipulators, or the stagnant souls in your world? And more importantly, what would it look like to release them? Not with anger or drama, but with the quiet grace of a wise woman. This is not about perfection. It is about progress. It is about taking one brave step toward a life that feels more aligned, more vibrant, more you. Let me be clear. This journey is not about becoming cold or closed off. A wise woman's heart remains open, her capacity for love undiminished, but she is discerning. She knows that love does not mean sacrificing her well-being. She knows that true connection is a two-way street built on mutual respect and shared growth. By letting go of those who cannot meet her in that space, she creates room for relationships that are rich, reciprocal, and real. This process of silent release is also a practice in forgiveness, not just of others, but of yourself. A wise woman knows that she may have allowed these people into her life for a reason. Perhaps they taught her something about her strength, her boundaries, or her resilience. She doesn't dwell on regret. She mines those experiences for wisdom and moves forward. She forgives herself for the time she stayed too long, and she celebrates herself for the courage to let go. Let's also talk about the beauty of what comes next. When a wise woman clears space in her life, she is not left with emptiness. She is left with possibility. That space becomes a canvas for new connections, new dreams, new versions of herself. It is where creativity flourishes, where joy takes root, where she discovers just how expansive her heart can be. This is the gift of discernment. It is not about loss, but about liberation. We reflect on these 5 types of people. Let's also consider the mirror they hold up to us. Sometimes the behaviors we reject in others are echoes of our own shadows. A wise woman is not afraid to look within. If she notices patterns of criticism or manipulation in her relationships, she asks herself, where might I be showing up this way? This self-reflection is not about shame. It is about growth. It is about becoming the kind of person she wants to attract into her life. This brings us to a powerful paradox. The act of cutting off is also an act of connection. By releasing what no longer serves her, a wise woman deepens her connection to herself. She learns to trust her intuition, to honor her needs, to stand firm in her truth. And from that place of inner alignment, she attracts relationships that mirror her strength and authenticity. This is the alchemy of wisdom. Turning pain into purpose, loss into love, Let's also acknowledge the cultural context of this work. In many communities, women are taught that their role is to hold relationships together, no matter the cost. The idea of cutting someone off, even silently, can feel like a betrayal of that duty. But a wise woman knows that her first duty is to herself. She knows that her well-being is the foundation from which she can show up fully for others. By prioritizing her peace, she is not abandoning her community, she is strengthening it. This is especially true for those of us who carry the weight of intergenerational expectations. Many of us have inherited patterns of self-sacrifice, of putting others' needs before our own. A wise woman honors her ancestors by breaking those cycles. She says, I will carry your love, but not your burdens. She chooses a new path, one where her joy and her boundaries coexist. This is how she heals not just herself, but the generations that come after her. As we move toward the close of this speech, I want to offer a moment of gratitude. Thank you for your presence, your openness, and your willingness to engage with this topic. These conversations are not easy, but they are necessary. They remind us that we are not alone in our struggles, that we are all navigating the messy, beautiful terrain of human connection. A wise woman knows that her journey is shared, that her courage inspires others to find their own. Let's also take a moment to celebrate the wise women in our lives, those who have modeled this quiet strength, who have shown us what it looks like to love fiercely and let go gracefully. They may be mothers, sisters, friends, or mentors. They may be the women we see in the mirror. Their wisdom is a beacon, guiding us toward lives of purpose and peace. In the spirit of celebration, let's also honor the wise woman within each of us. She is there even when you doubt her. She is the voice that whispers, you are enough. She is the strength that carries you through loss and leads you to love. She is the courage that says, I will choose myself, not out of selfishness, but out of reverence for the life I've been given. Trust her. Lean into her. Let her guide you as you discern who belongs in your circle and who must be released. This work of silent release is not a one-time event. It is a practice. There will be moments when you second guess yourself, when the pull of familiarity tempts you to hold on. That's okay. A wise woman is not perfect. She is human. She stumbles. She learns. She keeps going. Each time she chooses to let go, she grows stronger. Each time she protects her peace, she deepens her wisdom. Let's also be mindful of the ripple effects of this practice. When a wise woman sets boundaries, she gives others permission to do the same. When she prioritizes her growth, she inspires those around her to pursue their own. Her courage is contagious. Her clarity is a gift. By living authentically, she creates a world where others can do the same. This is the legacy of a wise woman, not just in her own life, but in the lives she touches. As we conclude, I want to leave you with a vision. Imagine a life where your energy is vibrant, your heart is light, and your relationships are a source of joy and growth. Imagine a world where you are surrounded by people who see you, who celebrate you, who challenge you to be your best self. This is not a fantasy, it is a possibility. It begins with the quiet, courageous act of letting go. It begins with the wisdom to know who belongs in your life and who does not. So, my friends, I invite you to embrace this wisdom. Be the wise woman who silently cuts off the energy vampires, the critics, the betrayers, the manipulators, and the stagnant souls. Do it with grace, with love, with unwavering commitment to your own truth. Know that you are not alone in this work, that you are part of a lineage of women who have chosen themselves and changed the world in doing so. May you walk this path with courage. May you trust the quiet voice within you. May you create a life that reflects the fullness of who you are. And may you always remember that your wisdom, Your boundaries and your love are your greatest gifts, not just to yourself, but to the world. Thank you.